Okay, everyone, our first episode, we're going to be talking about the day-to-day living costs, accommodation and household. So I think a lot of the things are pretty self-explanatory. You've never been able to use them before, but I know that there has been some issues, particularly around pool and pool maintenance, and also some confusion around gardening, because gardening is in the yes list and it's also in the no list as well. Lots of things, water, gas, electricity bills, they've never been allowed. So that's a big no. So Jennie, what are your thoughts on pools?
Yeah, so this is probably going to be a little bit controversial. This one, I know previously that some people have claimed pool maintenance under their NDIS plans. Certainly chemicals and consumables have never been included. But the NDIS have actually specified now that pool maintenance certainly isn't something that can be claimed with NDIS funding. So at least that's made it clear, where the line is in the sand with that one. So, yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting though, like there's a lot of interpretations and grey area in this period, and specifically in disability history. We get a lot of mixed advice. Even we've had members that have come back through to us and have specifically raised pool maintenance as a concern, and they've actually had feedback from LACs, from the contact centre, and even from people within the NDIS saying that some aspects of pool maintenance may be covered in terms of things that people would ordinarily do themselves but can't due to their disability. So like say getting leaves off the pool and those sorts of things. But the more specialised aspects of pool maintenance, which would generally be conducted by a professional, wouldn't be covered. There's a lot of nuance, I think, that needs to be sort of worked out as these lists develop.
Yeah, I agree. Because up until, I can't do it now because my disability has got to the point where I'm not physically capable, but up until not long ago, I cleaned my pool, I test my chemicals, I add in everything, I clean out my pool filter, I did the lot. The reason I don't do it now and I have to pay someone to do it is specifically because of my disability and no other reason.
Yeah. And like there's other things at play that may not sort of come to mind in the immediate thoughts when you think about like day-to-day living costs and the like. So essentially, as much as like our home's our home, often we're opening our home up to support workers and other supports, and to them it's actually a work environment, and a lot of employers have a responsibility to provide a safe workplace. And sometimes circumstances that can arise where OH&S risks can develop, and at that point whose responsibility is it to then address some of those challenges if that person normally wouldn't access a service that may be considered a bit of a luxury to the everyday Aussie. But it's something that we can't do due to our disability. Like one thing that was raised recently was pressure washing. So like you could get say a support worker maybe to help pressure wash a slippery path so that people or yourself don't have a slip or a fall going down that pathway. But though that actual equipment may actually not be owned by the participant or the support worker, so in that instance, say the participant may be able to hire the equipment themselves if it's a need that's developed in their life, and a support worker could assist.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think sometimes some of the standard basic home repairs things, sometimes a lot of people just do those things. They don't themselves. They do themselves. True. They don't get a professional to come in and do it. Yep. There's even like changing a light bulb.
Yeah, I think this comes back to individual circumstances. Yeah. As we know, under the NDIS, it's not a blanket rule for everybody. You really need to take into consideration.
And we're hoping that, as the co-design process develops, or consultation process, depending on where you stand, some of this nuance will be recognised, and we'll have more of an opportunity to add to substitution list.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And I think also why, you know, if you have a pool at the moment and you have a support worker that comes in and helps you do things around the house,
Yep.
you know, why can't they also clean your pool?
Absolutely. And I think it's around the intent, you know, and it's not nuanced. You're absolutely right.
And again, we're in a transitional period. The agency has provided participants and providers with a grace period.
Yes.
With an educational approach, so they've already made a commitment that a fine won't be raised the first time someone makes a mistake, especially while we get our heads around the details. We've had personal assurances from the CEO herself, Rebecca Falkingham. She's a lovely lady. I know the NDIA, they've been very stressed and pressured to get some of these things across, and it's not on them that these changes are happening so far, so let's probably try not to shoot the messenger.
Yes.
Yeah.
Another thing, I think, was rent listed in
Yes.
that component. That was another thing that's recently came up a lot, especially in Western Australia, where ILO is a very prominent support. So there's a number of people that might struggle to have regular support workers that can provide supports, or may not want to live in an environment where there's a lot of strangers and the like that can come in. Flexible support arrangements such as ILO, where a participant may be able to get, say, a housemate to provide an agreed amount of support, may actually be better value for money for the scheme and a more responsive arrangement for the participant, because that person may be expected to do about 2 hours or an hour's worth of work a day. With like external complexities like the SHADS award, many providers can struggle to provide a support worker for less than 2 hours. So it can, some of these changes can actually increase the cost of the scheme and make things a lot more rigid and difficult for participants.
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed that episode. Hope it's answered some of your questions, but we are all available if you have any further questions.